When positioning a disconnect relative to a meter base, a crucial consideration involves the appropriate mounting height. The standard recommendation is to mount the disconnect approximately 84 inches, equivalent to 7 feet from the meter base. This height specification serves several important purposes. Firstly, it promotes accessibility. Mounting the disconnect at 7 feet allows most individuals to easily reach and operate the switch without needing to stretch excessively or use a ladder. This is particularly important in emergency situations where quick access to the disconnect is essential. Secondly, it ensures safety. A height of 7 feet keeps the disconnect out of reach of small children, reducing the risk of accidental contact with live electrical components. Furthermore, it provides a reasonable clearance from ground level, minimizing the potential for water or other debris to interfere with the device's operation. Thirdly, compliance is another key factor. Many electrical codes and regulations specify a minimum and maximum mounting height for electrical equipment, including disconnects. Adhering to the 7-foot recommendation generally ensures compliance with these requirements. The specific requirements can vary depending on the local jurisdiction, therefore consulting the applicable codes is very important. While 7 feet is a common recommendation, it's essential to understand that this might need adjustment based on specific site conditions and local regulations. For instance, if the area around the meter base is prone to flooding, it might be necessary to mount the disconnect higher to prevent water damage. Conversely, if the disconnect is being installed in a location with low ceilings, it might be necessary to lower the mounting height while still adhering to safety and accessibility guidelines. Furthermore, any obstructions such as pipes, ducts, or other equipment might influence the optimal mounting location. It's crucial to carefully assess the surrounding environment and make adjustments as needed. When determining the appropriate mounting height, it's also important to consider the type of disconnect being installed. Some disconnects are designed to be mounted horizontally, while others are intended for vertical mounting. The manufacturer's instructions should always be consulted to ensure that the disconnect is installed correctly. Additionally, the weight and size of the disconnect can affect the mounting requirements. Heavier or larger disconnects might require additional support to ensure that they are securely mounted. In some cases, it might be necessary to install a backboard or other structural support to provide adequate stability. It's also important to ensure that the disconnect is properly grounded. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, helping to protect against electrical shock and equipment damage. The grounding conductor should be sized appropriately for the size of the disconnect and should be securely connected to the grounding electrode system. In addition to the mounting height, it's also important to consider the distance between the disconnect and the meter base. While there is no specific code requirement for this distance, it's generally recommended that the disconnect be located as close as possible to the meter base. This minimizes the length of the conductors between the meter base and the disconnect, reducing the potential for voltage drop and improving the overall efficiency of the electrical system. However, it's important to ensure that there is adequate clearance around the disconnect for access and maintenance. The National Electrical Code, Section 110.26, specifies minimum working clearances around electrical equipment. These clearances must be maintained to ensure that electricians have enough space to safely work on the equipment. The specific clearances required depend on the voltage of the equipment and the presence of any exposed live parts. When installing a disconnect, it's also important to consider the environmental conditions. If the disconnect is being installed in a damp or corrosive environment, it's necessary to use a disconnect that is rated for those conditions. Enclosures with the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, or NEMA, rating of 4 or FORKS are typically used in wet or corrosive environments. It's also important to protect the disconnect from physical damage. If the disconnect is being installed in an area where it could be struck by vehicles or other equipment, it might be necessary to install a bollard or other protective barrier. In summary, mounting a disconnect involves careful consideration of several factors, including the mounting height, distance from the meter base, type of disconnect, environmental conditions, and applicable codes and regulations. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that the disconnect is installed safely and correctly, providing reliable protection for your electrical system. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about installing a disconnect. They can assess your specific site conditions and provide guidance on the best way to install the disconnect. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical installations. It is updated every 3 years and provides detailed requirements for all aspects of electrical work, including the installation of disconnects. Some key sections of the NEC that are relevant to disconnect installations are: firstly, Article 230 covers service entrances, including the location and installation of service disconnects. Secondly, Article 250 covers grounding and bonding, including the requirements for grounding disconnect. Thirdly, Article 404 covers switches, including the requirements for disconnect switches. Fourthly, Article 408 covers panel boards, including the requirements for overcurrent protection for disconnect. Fifthly, Article 430 covers motors, including the requirements for motor disconnect. By following the requirements of the NEC, you can ensure that your electrical installation is safe and compliant with industry standards. Furthermore, it's important to understand the different types of disconnects that are available. The most common type of disconnect is a fuse disconnect, which combines a disconnect switch with fuses. Fuse disconnects provide both overcurrent protection and a means of disconnecting the circuit. Another type of disconnect is a non-fuse disconnect, which only provides a means of disconnecting the circuit. Non-fuse disconnects are typically used in applications where overcurrent protection is provided by a separate device, such as a circuit breaker. In addition to fused and non-fused disconnects, there are also special purpose disconnects designed for specific applications. For example, there are motor disconnects that are designed to handle the high inrush current of motors. There are also solar disconnects that are designed to disconnect photovoltaic or PV systems from the electrical grid. When selecting a disconnect, it's important to consider the voltage and current rating of the disconnect. The disconnect must be rated for the voltage and current of the circuit it is protecting. It's also important to consider the interrupting rating of the disconnect. The interrupting rating is the maximum amount of fault current that the disconnect can safely interrupt. The interrupting rating must be greater than the available fault current at the disconnect location. The available fault current is the amount of current that would flow in a short circuit. It is determined by the impedance of the electrical system and the voltage of the source. It's important to have a qualified electrician calculate the available fault current at each disconnect location to ensure that the disconnect has an adequate interrupting rating. When installing a disconnect, it's also important to use the correct wiring methods. The wiring must be sized appropriately for the current it will carry and must be protected from physical damage. The NEC specifies the types of wiring methods that are permitted for different applications. It's also important to use the correct connectors and terminations. The connectors and terminations must be rated for the type of conductor being used and must be installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. Improperly installed connectors and terminations can cause overheating and electrical fires. Once the disconnect is installed, it's important to test it to ensure that it is working properly. The disconnect should be switched on and off several times to verify that it is making good contact. The voltage and current on both sides of the disconnect should also be measured to ensure that the disconnect is not causing any voltage drop or current imbalance. In addition to these basic tests, it's also important to perform a ground fault test. A ground fault test verifies that the grounding system is working properly and that the disconnect will trip in the event of a ground fault. A ground fault is a short circuit between a live conductor and ground. Ground faults can be very dangerous and can cause electrical shock and fires. By performing a ground fault test, you can ensure that your electrical system is protected from ground faults. Overall, the installation of disconnects is a critical aspect of electrical safety. By following the guidelines outlined in this video and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that your disconnects are installed safely and correctly, providing reliable protection for your electrical system. Remember that electricity is dangerous, and it's always best to err on the side of caution. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, leave it to the professionals. Another aspect to consider is the use of arc flash protection. Arc flash is a dangerous phenomenon that can occur when there is a short circuit in electrical equipment. Arc flash events can generate intense heat and pressure, causing serious burns and other injuries. To protect against arc flash hazards, it's important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, or PP, such as arc-rated clothing, gloves, and face shields. It's also important to follow safe work practices, such as de-energizing equipment before working on it. The National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, 70E standard provides detailed guidance on arc flash safety. This standard outlines the requirements for performing arc flash hazard assessments and selecting appropriate PPE. It also provides guidance on safe work practices for electrical work. By following the NFPA 70E standard, you can significantly reduce the risk of arc flash injuries. In addition to arc flash protection, it's also important to consider surge protection. Surges are brief spikes in voltage that can damage electrical equipment. Surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, and other events. To protect against surges, it's important to install surge protective devices, or SPDs, at the service entrance and at individual pieces of equipment. SPD work by diverting surge current to ground, preventing it from reaching sensitive electronic components. The selection and installation of SPD should be done in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the requirements of the NEC. In addition to these safety measures, it's also important to perform regular maintenance on electrical equipment. Regular maintenance can help to identify and correct potential problems before they cause a failure or a safety hazard. Maintenance tasks can include inspecting wiring, tightening connections, and testing protective devices. The frequency of maintenance should be determined based on the type of equipment, the operating environment, and the manufacturer's recommendations. By performing regular maintenance, you can extend the life of your electrical equipment and improve its reliability. The 7-foot height recommendation is a general guideline. Variations may be necessary based on local codes, accessibility needs, and potential obstructions. Always prioritize safety and compliance when installing electrical equipment.